Hello, hello. It's been a while since I've prepared something for you all, but in the meantime, I hope you have enjoyed the short little videos. My hope is to share a good balance of short and long videos, although even the longer ones, I intend to keep them all at about 15 minutes or less out of respect to everyone watching, as I know we all have busy schedules. And if there's ever a topic that I feel is deserving of more than 15 minutes, then I will simply try to split it up into multiple segments or go live for it and let you all know in advance or something. And anyway, with that said, it's been crazy around here trying to balance out everything with school, doctor's appointments, friends and family, pleasurable activities, and all that good stuff. For the most part, I like to be relatively organized too, and so I find myself feeling like I need some sort of baseline script or bullet point list or something in front of me to ensure that I stay on track and don't go over the 15-minute mark. And hopefully the more I do these, the more comfortable I'll get with it and the easier it will be for future videos. And now that I've rambled for a little bit, let's get to it. In one of my previous videos, when talking about the Asbury Revival, I mentioned these pass-along prayer books that I like to buy and give to people, whether it's, the drive-through worker, waitress, people in the waiting room at doctor's offices, or whoever. And I enjoy doing this because ultimately we all need a boost of encouragement, whether we realize it or not. And I got to thinking, though, about how even though God is using me to bless people by doing something as simple as passing these out, I could be doing more with them. So as you can see on this one here, it's already made to have some sort of note on one side, and they all have some sort of design, and they even have space in the back for you to write a note of your own if that's what you choose to do. And keep in mind, though, that there's going to be instances where you're not always going to have time to write your own note, like in the drive-thru, for example. You don't want to hold up the line trying to write something. And so what I like to do is write a generic note on the majority of them, consisting of a short, encouraging quote, letting people know that they have a purpose and they are loved, along with my personal cell phone number and how they can find me on Facebook and YouTube. And sometimes I'll keep a few extras with me in case I ever have time to do a personalized note, and I'll be sure to put the links for you all in the description as well. And what I'm getting at with this thought, though, is through passing these out, I started thinking about how they all say something different, and I came to the realization that more than one person might need that particular message. So what I've been doing here lately is taking pictures of them all. That way I can, reach more people by posting them to Facebook. And now trying to piece together some videos where I read one aloud and share my thoughts on it a little bit. So here we go. The pass along note for today starts out by saying that God has made you a light that drives out the darkness. I'm praying that you dare to believe in your radiance, relevance, and readiness. Remember, nothing is impossible or too hard for the Lord. It's followed by the verse Matthew 13:58, NIV version, which says, "He did not do many miracles there because of their lack of faith." And it closes with a quote by Marshawn Evans Daniels, which says to operate in your expectations, not your experiences. And so I'd like to start with a verse on this one because we all have hopes and desires for our life. And it's through believing and trusting in God that miracles can happen. However, when we find ourselves trying to take charge of stuff all the time and feeling like we have to be in control, then are we really putting our faith in God to make it happen? Of course, we still have to do our part and work toward achieving our goals and seeing miracles happen. And in the midst of doing so, we need to ensure that every step we take is guided by God, so He can see that we are being diligent and faithful in Him. And not everything in life is going to be easy, but with every step we take, no matter how minor or major it is, it's all part of God's plan to get us where He wants us to be before He does the big reveal. And even all of the obstacles put in place by the devil intended to harm us in some way, whether it's psychological, a financial setback, relationships being torn apart, or whatever it might be, God always has a way to use it for His good. And one of my personal, biggest struggles is the fact that my brain never shuts up. I am an analytical thinker, and even something minor and is relatively easy to fix, my brain goes haywire and comes up with 10 different ways to handle it, or how it could have gone differently, or whatever. On top of that, I've always been the type to consider the perspectives of everyone involved in a situation the best I can, and I get so caught up in trying to understand their perspectives and to find a solution that's satisfying to all parties involved that I often forget that I'm allowed to have a say-so and stuff too. And many times it's been bad enough that I even overwhelm myself with it, trying to sort through everything in my mind so much that I can only imagine how overwhelming it is to those around me. And for that, I'm sorry. I'm trying to work on being better about that. We all have our struggles, and that we are trying to work through. And moral of the story is that if we are not putting enough trust and faith in God to help us work through it, then it's going to be that much harder when we're given a big push toward what He wants us to be in life. And before I get too carried away on that topic, that brings me to the quote, which again says to operate on your expectations, not your experiences. And this is a really hard pill for all of us to swallow, me included. We most certainly can learn from our experiences and use them as examples when either explaining or trying to understand different viewpoints, and use them to help people in similar situations, but we don't need to base the entire trajectory of our future on them. Each and every person we encounter is going to be different. With each new friendship or dating relationship, the way we connect with one another is going to be different from our other friends or previous relationships. Like, the way we cut up and laugh with one friend might vary from person to person. And so, just because something is known to destroy some relationships, it doesn't mean that it has to be the thing to destroy our other relationships. And by focusing on certain things by focusing on how certain things have destroyed relationships in the past, or at least heard of stories of it happening, that in itself is ruining the relationships we have now, because we are turning it into a comparison battle, which is more dangerous than we realize. Having that said, with every situation that arises and with every new person we encounter, don't walk into it with the expectation that it's going to turn out the same as past experiences. It might surprise you and turn out the way you hoped it would, or even better. Above all else, I believe that it's vitally important to understand that there's a big difference between setting boundaries as opposed to expectations. Like, for me, I've seen the damage that smoking and drinking can do for people, or can do to people, and I've lost quite a few loved ones from both. If I'm ever out with someone and they feel like they absolutely have to, then I'm not going to sit here and tell them they can't. But I do ask that people respect me enough not to force it on me and to not get carried away with it when I'm around them. I respect myself enough and have set boundaries that if I see someone doing any more than a drink or two when I'm with them, you best bet I'm getting up and leaving. I feel like there's a fine line between setting expectations for ourselves in terms of what we want to accomplish from day to day and lifelong goals and whatnot, as opposed to expectations for others. In the end, we are only hurting ourselves deeper and deeper the longer we go convincing ourselves that boundaries and expectations are the same thing. If we don't set boundaries, then we are putting ourselves at risk for losing sight of who we are, and trying to find a way back is not easy. And I speak from experience, which brings me back to the prayer portion of today's pass along prayer to close with. We are all meant to be a light in this world, and even the darkest people can be a light. We just have to be willing to open our hearts not only to each other, but to God as well, so He can ultimately help us heal from whatever or whoever hurt us and is holding us back. In turn, we can take what we've learned to help others and build strong relationships. It's like they always say, no man left behind. No man left behind. If only we could all learn to take that to heart and be there for one another. And sometimes a situation might be more than we can handle, and as hard as it might be, it may require having to let someone go at times and letting someone pick up where we left off. No matter what walk of life we come from, we're all still human, and we all make mistakes. One of the many secrets of life is that people need people, whether we realize it or not, and we can't just give up because it's getting hard. Even for Jesus, deep down, he knew that it was his God-given purpose and destiny to go to that cross and rise again in 3 days. And though we may not always understand why things happen the way they do, everything truly does happen for a reason, and God can use it for his good. And we can't always control what happens, but we most certainly can control how we respond to it and what we are willing to do with that information. And on that note, as much as I would love to keep going on this past long prayer alone, I'm going to bring this one to a close, but please keep the conversation going in the comments. I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on this one, and if you have an opposing view on something I said, let me know. And I will do my best to hop on and engage with you all in the comments as well. And I would also love to hear from you all watching and take suggestions on what you all think you would like to see or hear more of. If there's ever anything that you want me to talk about, or you see something in a video that you like and want me to expand on, by all means let me know and I'll do it. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you know someone who could use this message today, share away. Love you guys, and this is Kenzie reminding you that you are loved, you have a purpose, and you are amazing. Bye, guys.